Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Lone Star Dowsers meeting. I'm Mary Wilson, your new program chair, and Catherine Ashby, our advisor, would like to say hello to everybody.
I just want to say hello, Dowsers. And I'm so glad that we're having a Zoom meeting tonight instead of being out in this weather. And Mary's doing an excellent job lining up our speakers. So I'm real excited about Robyn being here tonight, and have a good meeting, everybody. I love you. Bye.
Thank you. Okay, Robyn, welcome. This is Robyn Slagle, and she's a woman of many talents. She's a licensed massage therapist. She uses a number of energy healing modalities to clear physical and emotional congestion. Now, she uses these to assist you in clearing non-beneficial energy in the physical and the subtle bodies, and then it creates this natural flow of regeneration of health. So she has training and talents in Reiki, Shin Jiu-Jitsu, light language, which is geometric shapes and colors, and a divine intervention healing modality passed down from Mayan lineage. And tonight, for this meeting, our monthly meeting in May, our second Zoom meeting, so bear with us as we navigate the new territory. Robyn is going to show us how we can use different charts to test ourselves before and after, like a healing session, that we can test the vitality and the purity of our organs, chakras, meridians, and different things. And she's also going to discuss DNA codes and how they resonate with your body's inner knowing and how we can activate them and revitalize them. So it should be a really fun, exciting, and interactive experience. So if you guys will help me welcome Robyn.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. So let's go ahead and start with some of the, since I pulled this up, since we mentioned earlier that the energies are changing, I'm going to go ahead and throw up what is this? A picture. And it just disappeared. Oh no. Hold on one second. Maybe I'm not going to do that. Okay, suddenly I'm not able to share my screen. We practiced this beforehand, but it didn't.
We did practice this. I have not done anything. I don't think anybody else has.
Yeah, I don't think so either, but for some reason I'm not able to do that anymore. Okay, well, we're gonna do this a little different then. I'll just have to talk through all of it.
I don't know if you have something you can hold up, or anybody that probably wants, well, first let me say this too. Robyn has an email list that you are welcome to sign up and be on her email list. She's got all sorts of amazing things that she's doing. So she put her information, it was in the email, but it's also in the chat. So it's jarlight.com, and she has her phone number. And I guess if you have charts that you can share or more information, you can.
Okay, actually, I just found out how to do it. Okay, so I'm going to show you all an example of the light language. This is a chart that what you're going to do on this one is you just simply take your index finger and you start at the lower left corner. You put your index finger on it and you go up that first column and you just bring your finger over it. And you don't have to think about it, or there's not really a lot to it. You just simply move over it at a fairly fast pace, but you are slow enough that you're absorbing that light language code. So these are shapes and colors that generate a flow of energy. And as you can tell on the top of this one, it says anchoring the new earth frequencies into all realms of creation. And so you go up the first column, down the second, up the third, down the fourth. And did y'all try that yet? How does that?
Is that? We're doing that with your index finger?
Yes, your dominant index finger.
Okay. Oh, the dominant one. All right.
Preferably.
All right. So we're absorbing the frequencies of each of these different symbols.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And light language is, it's something that either resonates with you, or if it doesn't resonate for some reason, if you're not accepting of that energy or you just don't like the way it feels, then it just simply, it falls apart. And so there's no harm, you can't do any harm with this. It either benefits you or it does not.
So, is there a way that we can have access to this chart?
You can take a screenshot now. I can also send this to you later. The only way I know to send it would be email at this point.
Yeah, that would be fine. When we send out the recording, if you're comfortable sharing this particular chart,
Absolutely.
then we'll you can send it as an attachment, and we'll send it out to the group. That would be great.
Absolutely. So that's just an example of some of the light language that I use. That's part of the Mayan lineage. We can create individual charts for you, your chakras, or something that you want to, some goal or something, if you want to have more cash in your life. Who doesn't want more cash, right?
Oh, yeah. Can we create one of that, please?
Yes. So each of those I create individually for the person. And so usually we start off with just your personal one for your chakras, because that's what you want to set first before you start going out and creating other types of grids. I also do some that are spirals. They're totem language animal. And so it's similar. So it's, instead of shapes, it's using animals. And so you use the energies, the qualities of certain animals, and then you also still use the colors, because the colors change the qualities. If you think of like orange, typically is like co-creation.
Pause for 1 second, Robyn. I know one of the things that you wanted to have people was to test, I guess, their vitality level. But before we start with all your fabulous stuff, should everybody douse and kind of see where they're at? What do you think? Or was that something you were doing a little bit later? What?
Yes, actually, that was going to be the next thing I was going to talk about. So we can go ahead and go into that. So,
but I'm curious about that. So let's come back to your light language, because I think that's pretty fascinating.
Okay. So what I recommend doing, what I enjoy, because when you have clients come in, they can test themselves, find out what is the vitality of their particular organ or chakra or meridian, whatever they're coming in for. They douse beforehand, or we do it as, you know, as a co-creation, or I let them do it, because when you empower them and they're able to do it themselves and they see the change, that just, it anchors that awareness that a change has taken place. And so that is the beauty of, to me, of doing it before and after, because you have that obvious concrete answer that something has changed. So most of the time what I use is just a simple, like 0 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can douse just like you normally would. You could also do, you know, like the testing where you use the hand and you stick your dominant fingers in. I'm sure y'all have done that before. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think most people in this group do some sort of a pendulum. But yeah, I think some folks are skilled definitely at the muscle testing.
Yes. And so you can do that either way, with a dowsing with a pendulum, or you can just say, you know, the vitality, let's say that we're working on the liver. Mm-hmm. You can say the vitality of my liver is greater than 60%. And you test for that, yes or no. And you can narrow down, if you're using a pendulum, obviously you can find out where you are on that vitality scale, correct? But if you're not using a pendulum, you can decide, do I want to, let's say that liver is less than 60%, then you're going to want to do some work on that. If it's greater than 60%,
so maybe we ought to just ask, what's our just overall vitality at the beginning of this, you know, call?
That's true. That's true. Yes. Depending on what you're looking for. Yes. But most of the time when I have a client come in, they're looking for something in particular. You know, their lungs are an issue, or, you know, they have some stomach issues, or, you know, whatever they come in for, their eyes. maybe they're having some difficulty with their eyes. And so we want to find out what is the vitality of that particular organ. You know, what is the purity of it? And of course, 100% means that it's functioning exactly the way that it's supposed to. But if it's less than 60%, we probably want to do some work on that. So one of the ways that I also teach is
My 30%, my overall vitality. So my liver's good, but my general vitality is a little low today. We were talking about that. But,
yes.
I imagine, yeah.
So
write down what your vitality is. You'll have it.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I also teach is how to use a DNA code to check this. And so it's just another form of dowsing, and it's kind of like muscle test. It's a combination of muscle testing and just inner knowing. And that code, actually, I guess I should talk a little bit real quick about DNA codes before we go into that, just so you have an idea of what we're actually doing. So DNA codes are phonic triggers. And so the best way that I know to describe that is a phonic trigger would be, let's use a word, let's just start with sad. So if I say sad and you really connect with that word, how do you feel? Or what are the sensations that you get? Do you feel a little heavy, a little low, right? So then I turn around and I say, now think of the word happy. You resonate a little bit different. You change. You might actually get a smile on your face. You might feel a little more light. Whatever your form of sensation is, you're going to change that, right? And so that is the way that your body, because your mind and your body resonate to those words, and that's a phonic trigger. So what we're using, the DNA codes, our higher bodies understand what that word means, and so it knows how to resonate with that word, although our mental mind doesn't know what that means. So let's go ahead and use the first one. And so what you're going to do is say it 3 times, and the code is Leet May. And what it's going to do is it's going to activate the sensations in your fingertips. And so you're going to be able to take a chart like this, and you can simply draw out a 0 to 100 chart. And we're going to say the Leet May, and then we're going to test this and see how that resonates with you. See if you find that successful or not. So the way that we do that is we're just going to simply say out loud, Leet May. So we're going to do
spell what you're saying. Leet May or meet May?
Yes. No, Leet with an L.
Uh-huh.
It's actually spelled, let's see.
Here, I'll type it into the chat. Spell it for me.
Okay, the way that I spell, or the way that I do it, yeah, that's good. That's a great way. Leet May. Leet May. That's not the proper way to spell it, but that's the kind of like the phonic way of saying it.
Okay.
So let's say that out loud 3 times. Leet May.
May. Leet May.
Leet May. Leet May. Now bring awareness to your hands, and you're just simply going to kind of just notice. You don't have to hold them up, but just be aware of the energy around your hands. Do you feel a change? Make sure to continue breathing, because sometimes when we start feeling that change, we want to kind of hold our breath, and that just pauses that. Energy is supposed to always be in motion. And so the best way that we can keep that motion is just to simply breathe in and out at a regular pace. Or if it feels a little intense, go ahead and take a deep breath and let it out. So now that we have activated our hand chakra or fingertips with Leet May, let's see. Well, let me see what my eyes. So I'm going to ask, what is the vitality of my eyes today? And I just simply take this around using my finger. Okay, so that was a little, because I'm not looking at it. I'm going to say somewhere around the 70, 75, which is interesting. So what you're going to feel as you're going around, you're going to feel an energy change in your finger. So it's either going to be like a more tingly sensation, or your finger may actually drag on that number. So you're going to have some kind of different sensation. Sometimes your finger will come and it will actually just stop at a number. But this is just another form of dowsing. You're using your finger to do that reading. So has anyone had any luck with that? Do you feel a change? Do you feel anything? Was that successful for you?
I don't know that I felt it in my fingers, but I noticed kind of like a headache right after that.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So maybe we need to open up some of the others. So we'll do some testing here in a minute and see, because I was also thinking maybe eyes. We can also do some of the chakras, the higher chakras. So we'll see which one seems to resonate for you. Okay. So what I'll do is I recommend the client to go ahead and test this before, or we'll do that together and test this before. And so like currently I was at like a 70-75% for my eyes. So we'll do the eyes here in a little bit and then test again and see if that changes.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do it right here real quick. Yeah, 75. My eyes need some attention today. So how did the sensation in your hands? Did you notice a sensation as you said the code?
I did not.
You did not? Okay, that's fine.
Did anybody else? I guess they can raise their hand if they.
Yes.
I didn't feel it in my hand, but I felt like my face was a little warmer, like kind of flush.
This is Catherine. I felt a little tingling in my fingertips.
Excellent.
Looks like Kathy noticed a sensation.
Excellent. So I'm not sure about the head sensation. Normally I get a good read on that, and right now I'm not. Let's see. Let's look at.
Mary's got antennae in her head. Perhaps. Just kidding.
Okay, so let's. So one of the other ways that I do this, and I don't have my list with me printed out, but sometimes I'll have just a list of, liver, eyes, lungs, or all the chakras, or whatever options that we can go through. What I will do is just write those down. And again, just do either a dowsing, say, is this an organ that needs the vitality increased today? Or is this a chakra that needs the vitality increased? And so what I would do is just also go by those. So that way you don't have to count on the percentage. You can just go through the list quickly. So that way you don't have to do all of the organs or all of the chakras for that particular day. So let's see. Let's do, if you had a chakra to choose, third eye, crown, what would you like?
I'm hearing crown.
Okay. So let's try that one real quick. All right. So for the crown chakra, you can see at the top is the actual name, and this is for the purification. We're going to do a purification and then follow it up with an activation, because I always want to purify first, because it's kind of like cleaning the closet before you stuff more clothes in there. You want to clear it out first. The crown chakra, the word is am-re, and I roll my R's because that's the way that my teacher taught me. You don't have to. As long as you're making a best effort to say that, that's all that counts. That's what matters. So again, we're going to do this 3 times out loud. Am-re, am-re, am-re. Bring awareness to the crown. And you don't have to do anything except for simply observe. We're just allowing the energies to purify, to cleanse. And make sure that let's make sure that the ground channel is open. So from your root, make sure that you are connected into the ground. There we go. That seems to help. And just remember to breathe. We're allowing that energy to cleanse. What this does is it resonates with your body on what it needs now. So this is individual for each person. They're going to receive what cleansing, what purification that they need at that moment. And so what I recommend people do is practice this on a regular basis. And you're going to notice that some days you may feel a lot of cleansing. Other days it may be just like, that's it. Because that's just what you're working on that particular day. So it's going to resonate specifically with you.
I've definitely felt some sort of a shift. So,
Good. Did the headache go away?
it's less.
Okay.
It's much less.
Wonderful. All right. So now we're going to go to the activation. Okay, so for the crown chakra, excuse me, the activation code is Ki U. Let's repeat that 3 times. Ki U, Ki U, Ki U. Again, bring awareness to the crown chakra, and we're just simply observing the changes. This one is an activation versus the clearing. So this one's going to be a little more expansion. A lot of times you'll have, you might want to yawn, you might get a little bit sleepy, and that's just because the energy is expanding. Remember to breathe. Keep awareness to the crown as well as your feet or your grounding channel. And smile. Excellent. Okay, so how's that so far? I welcome anyone to jump in and say what they're experiencing.
When you said expansion, I sort of noticed a shift, felt, I guess, like an opening.
Mm-hmm. And I love that you're doing this because the chakra is actually a vortex from the crown. It's a vortex that goes up and it does spiral. So that's excellent. And how about the headache now?
Yeah. Gone. Gone.
Excellent. So does anyone have any organ or master gland or chakra that they would like to experience? I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll have got quite a few up here ready to go.
I would. This is Sandy.
What would you like?
I'd like the lungs, please.
Oh, that is excellent.
Actually, can we do that a double? Because I have lung issues too.
What's that?
My name's Laura. I have 3 lung conditions.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you want to do lungs as well?
Yes, please.
All right, then let's do lungs. That one. Okay, for the lungs, and actually before we start this one, let's ground just a little bit more because I feel like there's a little, I need to probably ground a little more, so let's just all do that as a group. So from your root chakra, imagine a spiral that goes down into the earth, and it's going to include your feet as well. So we're going to go down past the foundation of where you are into the ground. And we're going to keep going further and further, take that spiral down into the ground, and we're going to take it all the way to the center core of the earth. And if you hit any resistance, since it's a spiral, you can just unwind it just a little bit and then spiral it down again. And you can either go around or through whatever that congestion or blockage was. And once you're down at the very core center of the heart of the earth, and now go ahead and go to the crown. And we're going to do the same vortex. We're going to go up, or similar vortex. We're going to go up to source. take that up as high as you can. And I would say even higher. And even one more higher. Go ahead and stretch that just a little bit more. Excellent. Okay, now come down into the center of your heart, your body. And notice the alignment between the center of the earth, the center of source, and the center of your heart. Feel that alignment. Excellent. Okay, I feel much better now. I don't know about y'all. All right, let's go ahead and do the lungs now. And that activation code is in su cry. Let's repeat that 3 times. In su cry.
Cry.
In su cry.
In su cry.
In su cry.
Cry.
So now we just bring awareness to the lungs. And we're just simply observing, allowing anything that needs to purify and release, any of the denser energies, we're allowing those to leave. Remember to breathe. And keep awareness on the ground as well. So you're paying attention to both the lungs and the ground. And the reason why I talk about the ground channel, is when we're releasing energies, we really ideally want it to immediately go into the ground channel because it goes down into the earth. And the earth loves to receive this energy from us because it is a great digester, or composter is the word that coming to mind right now. Because what it does is it'll take that dense energy and it'll actually break them into pieces, and it can be recycled and used in other ways. And so it's a great transaction. Is not really the word that I'm wanting to use, but it is a great transaction, a great energy exchange between us and the earth. The earth welcomes that dense energy. And the dense energy is just something that we took on at one point, maybe we needed to, or there's many different reasons why we get this congestion. And so that congested energy just becomes dense, and it allows more and more things to settle and connect and just kind of stay there. And so it doesn't really block. Energy never really is blocked per se, but it is kind of impeded. And so it's not able to flow as well. And one of the ways that you can describe that is if you just think of, so energy's flowing, and then all of a sudden it gets stuck, and it kind of gets like in a little circular pattern right here. I don't know if you can feel that density that's already beginning to generate right here. And so what we want to do is just release it and allow that energy to flow. All right, so how was the lung purification so far? Anyone have anything they want to share about that?
Guess we forgot to douse to see where we were.
You're absolutely right. We can still do that now. That was actually one of the whole purposes for this. Sorry. I get excited. I love these DNA codes. So I'm going to ask for the vitality.
Part of the DNA code. So it's about just really creating the purifying and having vitality for the different organs and chakras. Is that right?
So the DNA codes, they resonate with or they work with the energetic layers, the energetic bodies, because we have our physical body and then we have the etheric bodies. And so that's where it works on the etheric, and that's where we hold the blueprints, the original blueprints of our DNA. And when you clear clear and activate the blueprint of the DNA, then that can filter into your physical body. And so you are actually reinvigorating, giving new vitality to your DNA, to your cells. And so your organs, when your cells are more vital, then your organ is more vital, or your chakra is more vital, because you're just bringing good, fresh energy into that.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the activation. And actually, I was going to test. Let's find out where my lungs are at the moment. So I'm going to ask, what is the vitality percentage of my lungs? And I'm getting about 90%. Would have been ideal if I'd done that beforehand. Okay, so now we're going to do the activation for the lungs. And that code is RECU. Let's repeat that 3 times. RECU. RECU. RECU.
Riku.
And again, we're just going to bring the awareness to our lungs. Just simply observe. And since this is an activation, this should most likely feel a little bit more expansion oriented. A little more active. Because we're bringing those DNA codes into our energy body, and then that is actually going deep into your physical body on an energetic level.
I feel coolness in my lungs.
That's
This is
wonderful.
Catherine.
That's a beautiful observation. Thank you.
Feel like I'm breathing easier.
Excellent. And these codes are something that you can do. Our higher bodies understand this language. And so what I would recommend, especially if you are having some lung issues, do the purify and the activate maybe once a day. If once a day is too much, maybe every other day, once a week. It only takes, what I recommend when you do the code, wait at least 1 to 2 minutes, and then do the next code, and again, wait 1 or 2 minutes. And you definitely want to wait just a little bit before you do your reading, because it does take a little while for that change to actualize, to filter down.
Robyn, why do you say that once a day might be too much? Do you feel maybe a little bit stronger, or a sensation maybe a little stronger? Or?
You know, I would say douse for it. If you want to do it once a day, go ahead and douse and say, am I prepared? Is my body, am I emotionally, physically prepared for this DNA clearing today? And allow yourself to answer that question. The reason why I say, if you're just doing like one code, the lungs, the purify, and the activate every day, that's not going to be a huge issue for most people. But sometimes, just like any other healing work, if you do a whole lot of healing work all at one time, that's a lot to process. Because as you're doing this, and as we're doing the lungs, there are times when I'm working on a client and we do this lung activation, and I will actually start coughing, because you do have that physical response sometimes. Ideally, it stays more in the energetic and it can clear out that way, but sometimes we do have that physical response. And they're not huge responses, but it can be a lot, especially if you're really ill and you do the clearing of the organs or whatever body part that you're working on. Then you have to give it a little bit of time to go ahead and recoup from that. You're going to feel better, but there's also going to be that integration time, is what I'll call it. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right.
Just
So any
now
other
see-
observations?
Should we test and see where we are on the scale?
Absolutely. Wow. So I'm getting about 99% now. So I went from 95 to 99. So that's pretty awesome. Did anyone else test and have a pretty wide range?
What question do you ask before you douse?
I personally ask, what is the vitality of, like this one for the lungs, what is the vitality of my lungs at this moment?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so any other organs? I'm leaning towards eyes or ears. And this time we can do it the real way. We can douse first, find out where we are, and then do the next one.
Kidneys.
Robyn.
I personally, oh, sorry. This is Catherine. I would love to
Yes.
do eyes.
Okay. And then kidneys. Let's start with the eyes, and then if we still have some time, we'll definitely get to the kidneys. All right, so let's go ahead and douse first, find out where we are. So ask, what is the vitality? What is, at this moment, what is the vitality of my eyes? So I'm getting about 87%. Okay. For the purification of the eyes, the code is stai vi. So let's repeat that 3 times. Stai vi,
Why?
stai vi, stai vi. So bring awareness to the eyes, make sure that your ground channel is open so we can go ahead and send that energy, the denser energy that we no longer need, into the earth. Remember to breathe, and we're just going to simply acknowledge, observe what's happening with the eyes. Now, one of the things that to keep in mind too is this is working on the physical eye. It's working on the energetic DNA, which goes into the physical part of the eyes. But it's also more than just your physical eyes. The eyes are what we take in all the things that we see. So this can then carry into like the energetic components. How I want to describe that. We take in a lot of advertisement that may or may not serve us well, right? And so this also can clear those types of energies out of our field. If they're not of our highest interest to keep those energies, then we're going to go ahead and purge those as well. So this is not only a physical purification, but it is also that energetic connection to things that we see. All right. Now we'll go ahead and move to the activation. All right, to activate the eyes, the code is O Morsha. Let's repeat that 3 times. O Morsha, O Morsha, O Morsha. Bring your awareness to the eyes. Remember to breathe. Keep that ground channel nice and open. We're allowing the expansion, the new vitality to enter the eyes. And I personally have found that the eyes and the ears, it's best if we give 2, 3, sometimes even 5 minutes for each one of those, because we take in a lot of information through our eyes and our ears nowadays. So it's excellent to go ahead and purify and clarify all of that before we start activating. And as a group, I invite you to go ahead and just take a deep breath and let it out. Excellent. All right, so now go ahead and test again the vitality. It's a little bit fast on the return, but I think we'll still see a difference. So I went up to 90, about 99. I don't remember what I was before. I didn't write it down.
I'm not seeing a change. Am I doing something wrong?
No, it could be that that's just not something that you want to purify or clear right at the moment, and that's okay. What I recommend is, did you write down these codes?
Yeah.
If you wrote down the codes, you can do them later on your own and see if there's a change at that point in time. Because this is designed to work on you, on what you want to work on right now. And so maybe these are just ones that either don't need as much clearing, or they're just not, it may just not be the item that you're supposed to work on right at this moment. I mean, there's other.
Well, it could be integrating. I think you said sometimes it takes 5 or 10 minutes to integrate.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So maybe check back in 10 minutes and see.
Exactly. Yeah. At the end
Trust
of this,
me.
yeah. At the
I was
end of
just going to say, there's things that I definitely want erased out of my memory of things I've seen.
Yes. And so that, again, this is a practice that you can do on your own. And that's the beauty of this, is that this is your tool that you can use and work on at any point in time that you want to. And I don't go in with an intention of, I want to erase this. I don't go in with that intention, because what I prefer to do, and the way that the DNA codes work, is your higher intelligence knows what to purge at that particular point in time. And so if you don't get to the one that you really want to get to, then just give it a few more days and a few more practices to see if that does eventually get to that point. Because you may have to clear out this piece or that piece before you get to that item, that moment that you want to clear.
Using this kind of stuff, what changes or improvements have you seen on people that have really surprised you?
Many. I have a client who had some liver issues and chronic, cirrhosis of the liver. And we were working together for about 2 years, and she went back and had another test done, and they said that the liver it wasn't 100%, but it looked tremendously better, and the doctors were completely surprised.
Wow.
I personally have done with the eye codes, and I know that I see better. I actually used to wear glasses, and I don't wear glasses anymore.
Wow.
I've seen like little bitty changes through many different people. In fact, I invite you to try one more time. What did you test earlier that you didn't see a change in, and see now that you've had a few more minutes if that change actualizes.
Okay. I did like 50%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not really showing a change, but then again, I'm not a master dowser. I'm not super good at this. So it could just be human error.
I would trust yourself a little more than that. I think what you'll probably find is that when you practice this on your own later, I think you'll see more and more changes.
Okay. Thank you.
So just be gentle with yourself. Give yourself a little time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So
Robyn?
do we want to do one more? Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm really excited about this. I just tested my right eye because I have a cataract, and it was near 0 vitality. But after the purification and activation, it's like 98.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
honestly, and I can see clearer.
That's excellent.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, these codes they're almost immediately recognizable. I mean, like sometimes I actually worked with a client this morning online, and she was kind of like you. She was like, oh my gosh, I can see better immediately right now as we were doing the process. So it's beautiful when you do see those immediate responses.
I wanted to ask you something, like if somebody is a slow metabolizer, maybe they get results slower, but it doesn't mean it's not it's not bad. It just
Absolutely.
means they're a slow processor or whatever. But
Yes.
I've noticed that I'm a fast metabolizer,
Hmm.
and I usually get results pretty quick if I'm going to get them.
Yes.
But not everybody's like that, and it doesn't. There's no judgment about that.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
just
because
wanted to share
everybody,
that.
yeah, everybody has their own method, their own way. And yeah, so sometimes what I've noticed too is that people working in a group don't get as much results as if they do it on their own. And I've actually seen the opposite of that too. They'll get a tremendous result when they're in a group, but then when they do it on their own, they don't really get much. And so everybody just practice and see what works. Everybody's individual, and if the DNA codes don't seem to work for you, then there's something else out there. There's something for everyone. And so just like, some people may be skilled in math and some people may prefer English. It's the same thing with energy work. It's just whatever resonates with you and whatever you get the results from. And you can do this.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be helpful to maybe, before we start, sometimes to see if there's any resistance? What's our open? You could douse. What's your openness to receiving? The benefits of the DNA activation or something like that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, there was a question.
Sure, I have a question, and it probably has to do with my being inexperienced as a dowser. This is Sandy. And so when I tested for my eyes at first, I think it was like 80%. But after activation, I tested and it was flat. So I didn't know whether it went down to 0 or up to 100. Does that make sense?
Well, actually ask yes and no.
I'm looking at something that I got from the dowsing group a while ago from a 0 to 100.
Right.
0 being on.
So what you can do in that case, if you don't know which one it is, then you ask a yes and no question. Is my vitality 100%? See if you get a yes or a no. And then you can ask the opposite question. Is my vitality at 0%? And see if you get a yes and no on that.
That's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So do we want to do one more? Do we want to do the kidneys? Or do we want
Yeah, kidneys, ears, something. Let's
Definitely do kidneys, definitely, because some of us are pissed off.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who, but
usually house fear, right? I think there's a whole, we have some collective fear going on because there's a lot of unknowns that are happening.
Yes. Okay, so go ahead and douse for the kidneys before we start this. Find out what your vitality is for the kidneys.
Wow.
All right. Not going to say what mine is, but I definitely need this one. All right, so the purification code for the kidneys is air new stay. So let's say that 3 times out loud. Air new stay. Air new stay. Air new stay. Bring awareness to the kidneys. That is in the lower back. And you are correct that is part of the it can also have to do with like our boundaries. When we think of kidneys, if you think of a dog going out and marking its territory, that is something else that when our kidneys are energetically being activated or physically being activated, it is because we feel like there's a boundary that has been crossed, or we may not know our boundaries. So that is some of the energetic connection to that.
But Catherine, were you referring to anger? You said pissed off. So do you, again, inexperienced dowser, are you saying that the kidneys and anger are correlated?
On the Chinese system, not so much, but boundaries or whatever, but it can be anger and fear mixed up together.
Fear. Thank
Fear. Fear is, the
Mhm.
water element in the Chinese system.
Yeah, the kidneys.
Ask Robyn.
The kidneys
Sorry.
filter. Oh no, it's excellent. I'm happy to have the interaction. The kidneys filter. They are the filters for the body. It's also, the kidneys actually span a wide range of stuff. It's also our connection with our ancestors. So a lot of times when we have some kidney issues, it's related to our ancestral genetic patterns, unresolved imprints that came from our ancestors. So if you think of epigenetics, we do receive that energy from the ancestors. And so I'm sure that there's some unresolved something that has been passed down to us. Yeah, actually the kidneys, there's so many things that are connected with the kidneys. That in fact, that's one of the organs that I recommend everyone do.
Do you recommend people do it daily?
I personally, yes, you can, but I personally don't. I usually choose like once a month. Once a week. Once a week, I'll go through each one. And so because I have organs and chakras, and so I could do like chakras one week, the next week I'll do organs, the next week I'll do something else. And so usually it takes me a month to get back around to whatever that one code is. Or that one set of codes, but that's my personal practice, because I like to sit down and really enjoy that time. So I kind of make that part of my meditation time. But if I have some spot things like my eyes, sometimes my eyes need a little extra help, I will absolutely do those every day for a little while. But it's something that I kind of just feel, or douse, do I need that today? And that's why I enjoy doing just like a written, and I don't have it printed out, but just, eyes, kidneys, liver, I just have them all written out. And so I'll douse on those, which ones do I need to focus on for that particular day. All right, so let's go ahead and move to or actually, does anybody have anything to share about the experience of purification for kidneys?
Did we purify kidneys already?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh God, I missed it.
I just did the purification. I didn't do the activation yet.
Yes, we haven't done the activation yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the activate. Oh yeah, I've already done that. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump in and do the activation. The kidney activation code is Psi Inc. Let's repeat that 3 times. Psi Inc. Psi Inc. Psi Inc. For this one, let's go ahead and pay attention. Just bring your awareness to the kidneys, which is the lower back. And this time we're going to allow the activation. A lot of times I'll end up getting burps when there's a lot of energy movement. Remember to breathe. We're just simply allowing that expansion of new energies, that new vitality to enter into the kidneys. Beautiful. Y'all are doing a great job.
Big improvement for me on that.
Yeah.
I was 20% before we started on kidneys, and then I made it to 100%.
Wow, that's fantastic. I'll go ahead
Me
and
too. I went from 30 to 100.
Thank you. I think we needed that.
Wow. So I went up to 95. So I started out at like 70 and I went to 95. So that's excellent. Yes. Beautiful work, everyone.
Yeah, big improvement for me as well. I was about 40 and I went to like 95.
Excellent.
Mine was 15 and it went to 70.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Can we do liver, which is anger?
Okay, let's see. Liver.
Yes, let's do anger.
Well, hold on. Let me
everybody-
ask you, do you have one for emotions, or would we address the emotion connected to the organ?
Yes, that's the way that I typically
I'm
do
sorry,
it.
I meant
Yeah.
liver, which is, yeah, anger. Okay.
Yeah, because I believe that all of that is connected because each one of our organs has that emotional component. And so what happens is when we have an emotional dissonance with something, or the dissonance is either happens emotion or mental or spiritual. And so there's a conflict with our body and that. And so when we can't process that, then that becomes kind of like a crystalline structure or congestion. And so that manifests itself in particular organs. And so, yes, I'm always working on that connection between the organ and the emotional, mental, or spiritual component. So yes, I'm always tying all of those in together. All right, so let's go ahead and do liver.
Let's check our, hang on, let's check our vitality of the liver.
Absolutely, test that first. I just get so excited to share these. Oh, I didn't get a reading on that one. There we go. All right. So the purification code for the liver sorry, I started to do the wrong one. In Voshu. Let's repeat that 3 times. In Voshu. In Voshu. In Voshu. This time we bring awareness to the liver. The liver is located in the abdomen, a little bit on the right side. And trust your body's knowledge of where this is. If you simply breathe and observe, make sure that the ground channel is nice and open, then you'll most likely get some kind of sensation to know where that organ is. And we're just observing. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath and let it out as a group. As a group, when we do that, we're allowing our energies, the ability to process some of that increases for everyone. Okay, we'll go ahead and move to the activation. The activation code is SUAT. Let's repeat that 3 times. SUAT, SUAT, SUAT. Bring awareness to the liver. Remember to breathe and to keep that ground channel open. This time we're activating. So I don't know if you could feel that subtle change. There was sadness is a little too heavy of a word, but once some of that anger was released, the energy the emotional energy kind of settle just a little bit. So now that we're doing the activation, this should help bring it up a little bit. Keep awareness on the liver. And whenever you feel that the energy settled down, go ahead and test again and see where you're at.
Big improvement for me.
Yes?
10% to 70%.
Wow.
So yeehaw for me too.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
near, you know, like 5% over to about over 100%, like 120%.
Wow.
Wow.
Like my liver's dancing the jig. Yeah.
Well, whenever you get rid of those heavy, dense emotions, then yes, it is going to dance around.
I went from 15 or 20 to 60, 65.
Wow.
Praise
Excellent.
God. Thank you.
Excellent. Wonderful job, Laura.
And I went from 60 to 100. And that is
Wow.
very telling because I had a horrible anger event today.
Wonderful.
Ooh.
Yes, and I've been journaling about it, and I've been just all kinds of stuff. And boy, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now, is there something for digestion?
Yes, so there's also stomach, small intestine, large intestine. There's all of those as well. And so if I teach these as different like groups, so typically I dive, like organs, there's too many organs to typically do that in one day because you get a little over processed, right? So what I typically do is like half of the organs one day and then the other half the other day. And when I say half, I'm talking about like eyes, ears, throat, mouth, because even sometimes what we say is that, you know, clear that out sometimes. And actually some of them only have purification, like the mouth only has a purification. But most of the DNA codes have a purification followed by an activation. So yes, the organs I usually do in 2 parts. The chakras, you have like the first 7 chakras, the major chakras. And then I do a part 2, which has like all of the, not all, a lot of other chakras. So like 3 down into the ground, 3 up above, excuse me, the chakras that are in between the major chakras, your spleen chakra, your ear chakra, pardon me. So there's like a whole other gamut of chakras we can go through. As far as like master glands, it's the same way, but what we do on the master glands, there's 7 master glands. And so like part 1, what I'll teach is to purify and then to activate it to 3 levels. And then on part 2, I'll teach you how to activate from levels 4 to 7. And so there's different activation levels that we can go through as well. So there's many different codes and meridians, plexus, can't even think of everything right at the moment, many options. And so I do these as individual one-on-one, like we can do the Zoom. I also have some that Miracles of Joy have recorded, and they have those for sale on their website. So you can go through, if you go to my website, then you can find that link for the pre-recorded videos and go find those. So there's a many different options that you can go through. Or if there's something that you want to work through with me directly, I can do that as well, a private session on that.
These are wonderful. So now you consider this DNA activations for each of these organs, chakras, meridians, etc.?
Yes.
Okay. So now, do you also do something with blueprints?
Well, so what I say is that this is, when you activate these codes, they are working on the original blueprint of the DNA, because you're working on that energetic level, because we hold that energetic blueprint. And so that's what we're working on, is activating that energetic blueprint so it comes down into our physical body. And so you see that awakening and opening up of new energy. Sometimes it's dormant energy. Sometimes we have DNA in our body that's there, it's just not active. And so sometimes it's activating that, especially when you do like the master glands and you get up to like level 4, 5, 6, 7, you can have some amazing opening and new forms of DNA kind of expressing at that point. And the question is, the organs on the body on your website? Yes. Yes. So if you go to my website, jarlight.com, which was at the very top, it has a link for, yes, there's a link to part 1 and part 2. And it actually says out there, part 1 covers, the eyes, ears, heart, all of the upper portion, and part 2 covers the lower portion, but it does actually describe that on the website.
So Robyn, have you had a particular experience you've been doing this work for quite a while, so is there some kind of a very interesting experience that you personally had in doing this? That you've experienced or seen, because you're doing it on a regular basis.
Right. There are some that I find amazing every single time, like ears and mouth. I am amazed at the cleansing that happens in that general area. And it's just because we take in so many things with our ears, constantly taking things. At this moment, I can't think of any particular one item, but just as a general whole, I have found so much more health in my body doing these, because you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your body, you're communicating with your body, because so often that's what we do, is we stop communicating. Our body says, hey, I'm tired, I want to go to bed, and you're like, no, we're going to stay up and finish watching this movie. And so a lot of times we distance ourselves from our body, although that's what we live in. And so to get that communication open again, this is a beautiful way to open that communication, because you're talking with a language that your body understands. And so I just find that my body talks to me in a better way, and I talk to my body in a better way. I'm a little more gentle, So one specific thing, I can't think of one specific, but as a whole, it has been a beautiful process to learn and experience.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Does the mouth also, do you imagine that would help teeth and infections?
Yes. Yeah, there's actually one.
Being able to speak clearly?
Exactly, yes. So there's the mouth, there's the gums, let's see, tongue is another one. So the purification for the tongue. So there's many different codes. And yes, it's, some of the things that we say, some of the things that we take into our mouth. So we're just clearing all of that stuff. Unfortunately, I like sweets. So I'm always kind of clearing that out. But yeah, it's every single code that I've learned has been amazing.
Fantastic. These have been so helpful. Wow, love it.
I'm glad that y'all have had so much good results immediately. And that's the one thing that I found too. The DNA codes, they are immediate.
I like how it feels so much lighter in my body. I love that feeling. So beautiful. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome. It's my honor, my pleasure to share with you.
Would you tell us a little bit more about some of the other wonderful things that you offer? Maybe you could explain some of those things.
Sure. So I do also energy work. So Reiki, I also teach Reiki. My favorite is actually, well, I have two different favorites. Okay. So one of them is fascia work. And so it's just simple. It's called Bowen work, or Bowen is where I learned that. It's a very simple technique. And so pretty much, if y'all know what the fascia is, it's between the skin and the muscle. And so the moves are about like that. So it's just extremely gentle. And I do just a few moves. I actually leave the room so the client can experience that change. And it is a very physical and immediate change, just like these DNA codes. So fascia work, I have seen miraculous things happen. Tailbones, that's one of the biggest ones. Somebody falls on their tailbone and they can't sit, or they've had problems for a long time. I can go in and adjust the fascia just a little bit. Or what I do is I give suggestions to the body. I give suggestions with the body with a simple move, allow the client time to adjust to that. And I have seen amazing results. So that's one of my favorite techniques is the actual hands-on. But I have many modalities that are not hands-on, that they can be done by distance or without me even touching the body. So divine intervention is part of the Mayan lineage from Star Fuentes. That is, you learn how to resonate certain frequencies and dimensions. And so I actually would radiate that, kind of like a singing bowl. If you think of a singing bowl, it has that resonant energy that comes out of it, right? And so when you're near the bowl, you can feel that vibration. And so what I've done is practiced enough to where I can emit a vibration that is, the simple way to say it is that it clears out anything that is not vital in the body. So anything that's devitalizing the body, it helps to open and let that fall out. And so again, it's kind of like these DNA codes, but it's more of just one-on-one that I work with that person to try and release whatever that they're needing to release at that point in time. I also use the light language, which that was what we started at the very beginning. So those are shapes and colors, and they have certain frequencies. They resonate with certain energy flows. And so if you think of like a circle, or a sphere is going to move really fluid and easily. So something like when you're working with water, that's excellent. But if you want something a little more stable, then a cube is, if you think of a cube, it's very stable. It's just, you know, it's got its perimeters. The grids can be anywhere from a flow for your chakras all the way to, again, you can do a cash grid for that. So you can just change the energies the way that you want to manifest something. I also do animal totem, which is
go back to the grids part.
So we actually started off with that. Oh, I've already canceled it. So that first thing that we started with, so you could see the grid for how to, what was it? How to resonate with the new earth frequencies. That wasn't exactly the title, but something like that.
Oh, so you're saying that your light language is like a grid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so that is a grid that I showed y'all. And so what you do is you take your finger and go up that column, down the next column, up the next column. So that is a grid.
Okay.
So as you're using your finger to go across that, those shapes are being emanated in your energy field in ways that are, your body knows how to use them. Your higher self, your higher bodies know how to use
It's
that.
sort of like a recipe for different things.
Exactly. Recipe. I'm going to use that word. Thank you. Yes. So, and you can focus on anything that you want to. If you want to focus on, if you want to have the intention of increasing your health, you can do that. If you want to have an intention on increasing your immunity, you can do that. So, and it can be as easy as, you know what, I want to find a new house. So we could do a grid to find a new house. So pretty much anything that you are interested in manifesting in your life, we can create a grid for that.
Wow. How many different symbols are there?
I use, I believe there's 144.
Okay.
And not only just symbols, I also use a totem language wheel. So that's using the colors as well, but that uses the animal, the qualities of animals. Mm-hmm. So like let's say if you're trying to do like a community project, then you're probably going to want to bring in ant energy, because ants are all about the community. They're all about working together to get a job done. So you can bring in the ant energy for that. Or dolphin. If you want some more playfulness in your life, you can use the dolphin energy. And so you're going to use different animals and different colors to create. And instead of being a grid, this one is actually a spiral. So this is a spiral that I create. And so what I'll create it with you, and then I will give you that printout. I'll email it to you or send it to you. And I will teach you how to activate that grid, because that's something that, again, you do on your own. I'll help you create it, but it's all about you going out there and manifesting and doing that.
Wonderful.
And it's a very simple process, just like we did at the very beginning. You just kind of take your finger, you run over it. It's really quick and easy, and it makes wonderful changes in people's lives.
Yeah, I'm noticing more and more work with symbols. I guess I would call it symbols, really, right? I mean,
Yes.
they were able to integrate the information at a different level without having a word and association to other things.
Yes. Yes, because often words confine us. Mm-hmm. Because a symbol will do all kinds of things, and we have to use a word to describe that. And so we're actually limiting the energetic movement when we create a word. And that's what's actually beautiful about the DNA codes, is that our logical mind doesn't know what it means. So we're actually allowing higher source to do whatever it wants to do, which is always much higher than what we are aware of.
We let the personality step aside.
Exactly. Yes. So, any other questions?
Does anybody have any questions for Robyn?
Hey, Robyn, this is Catherine. When you say fascia, is that the same thing as fascia?
Yes.
Okay, I've had fascia work done before, and holy sparks.
Gentle. Mine is gentle.
I saw you just gentle movement. I've never seen fascia work like that before.
Yes. No, mine is extremely gentle. I use suggestions to your body. And so your body, once I do that suggestion, if your body realizes that it's safe, then what it will do is it'll just start to kind of unravel. And so your body, again, will take care of what it needs to do. It's almost like doing a reset button, because it unravels and your body gets to reset how it's going to be in tension. So it's not the raw thing and all that kind of fascia work. That stuff is painful, and I do not do that.
Yes.
In fact, everything that I offer can be used on children, on infants. In fact, my nephew, when my nephew was born, I did some fascia work on him the moment he came out, and the nurse let us hold him. And because, nice. The birth is actually kind of traumatic, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you do a little bit of fascia work on them afterwards, then they're able to relax a little bit faster, a little bit easier. So the fascia work can assist with physical issues, obviously, but it can also affect with like depression, because a lot of times what I'll do is activate the vagus nerve. And so it can release a lot of depression and a lot of emotional situations.
Okay, now fascia work you have to do in person, right?
Not necessarily.
Really?
Yes.
I had the
Okay.
same question, Catherine. I'm like,
Okay.
Robyn, can you magically do some long distance work on that?
No, that way, for sure it won't hurt. But what about for people with cancer? What modality is
Divine intervention is what I use for that. Because
divine intervention? Tell us more about that.
Okay, so that is releasing, that's where I emanate a certain frequency and dimension. And again, that's gonna, I will resonate and it will change according to whatever that person needs at that moment. And so my goal is to, basically I had telepathically talk with the body and ask it to release the things that are not vital anymore. Because that's what happens a lot of times is we end up with these patterns or whether it is genetic that's passed down to us, epigenetic, or whether it's something that a pattern that we create ourselves. You know, it doesn't really matter where it comes from. It's about just releasing that pattern. Because even if it is genetic, we can still go in there and say, you know what, this is where it's going to stop, and we're going to release that energy. Of course, it's not 100% accurate because we are humans, and sometimes we're here to do a job. But most of the time, I have found that many people can release an amazing amount of stuff. And so for something like cancer, DI is the one that I do, because you're really working with the body and the way that the pattern that it uses, the chronic patterns that are no longer appropriate. Because we take on patterns because they're appropriate at some point, right?
Right.
But when it becomes inappropriate, that's when we want to break that pattern, release that pattern. And so, yes, DI works with that. And it's about connecting the emotion, you know, anger or pissed off or whatever the emotions are that help to create that cancer in the first place.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you find out what the root cause is? Do you find out, is it DNA? Is it epigenetics? Is it environment? Is it emotions? Is it physical?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get to
Yes,
that conversation?
That is my goal. Yes. My goal is
Wow. Okay. Wonderful. Well, this has been very enlightening, very unusual, and just delightful. And it was excellent program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being willing to jump in and dive in and do it.
So I have one quick question. The divine intervention,
Yes.
is that done over the phone, or is that in person, or how does that work?
That can be done distance as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Robyn, I have a question.
Would you care to tell us what your charges are, or is that after an interview?
It varies. So yeah, usually I like to find out kind of what's going on, what do you want to focus on, and then we can go from there. So typically in person, it's $80 an hour. For distance, usually distance doesn't take quite as long. And I know that sounds weird in a way, but energetically you can do so much more. And so typically what I suggest for a distance session is for half an hour, $50, because you don't need the full hour to do that. Mm-hmm. So those are my starting rates, depending on what we're doing, depending on what we're working on. If you want to do like the totem language wheel or the forgot my words already. Light language, there we go. If you want to do the light language grid or the totem wheel, that is $30, and it takes about 30 minutes. So there's actually several different options, and if you go to the website, all that information is out there.
Okay, and if somebody, I'm sorry I interrupted you, Mary. I just have one more question. So if someone calls and they just have 2 or 3 things that are major in their life, you can help them choose which modality is best for that situation, right?
Absolutely,
That's
yes.
what I thought. Okay.
And a lot of times what I end up doing is a little bit of, I don't do like everything every time, but I might take 1 or 2 modalities and kind of put them together depending on what that person is interested in working on. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Robyn, I wanted to hear how a long distance Bowen session, where you address the fascia kind of might work.
So I can do that over the phone. A lot of times what I'll do is actually set up a massage table right behind me, and I will use like pillows and blankets and stuff to represent a body. And so a lot of times I'll do it using Zoom. So that way you can see me doing the work. And so that way we're able to communicate as I'm doing the work on the pillow. And so to me, I found it's not necessary, but I found that it's very comforting for someone to see what I'm doing, because a lot of times you'll actually feel that work in your body. And so if you see what I'm doing and feel it, again, it's just that confirmation, that brain connection that we can put together. And it works, in my opinion, just as well as if you're in person. I take that back. There's a couple of things that don't work as well, but 90% of it is exactly like if you're here in person.
So say I would lay on my bed or on a massage table where I'm at, and you've got the surrogate pillows that you're working with. Yeah, so love that. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and so I can do it by phone. I could do it using Zoom, or however you feel comfortable.
Let's see, there's a question about the word code activation for the eyes. I did write that down, so I can put that at the let's see, the activation was the Omursha.
That sounds right. I don't have them memorized, so I usually have to look.
I was making a few little notes as we were going. It helps me to learn things when I write it down. So, yeah, the Purify was Dive, and the activation was the Omursha.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Those were wonderful. Thank you for introducing that to us.
And keep in mind too that there are those videos that you can rent through Miracles of Joy. You go to my website and there's a link that will take you there. So you can always repeat this through those recorded videos if you want.
Okay, and for those that maybe can't see our chat, Robyn's website is jarlight.com, JARLIGHT.com.
Yes.
So, and you are, you were just telling me that the Wellness Expo in Dallas is has a new date.
Yes. So the Wellness Expo in Dallas has been moved. The date and the location has changed. So it's now going to be held in Irving, the Irving Convention Center, or I guess that's actually Las Colinas, but the Irving Convention Center. And it's July 11th and 12th. And that's also on my website. I've got links to that. And I do keep the website updated regular. I have events, classes, actually I have a newsletter. So if you want to go out to my website and sign up for the newsletter, then I will send that out once a month. And that has all of the psychic fairs, all of the classes, just the general activities that are available. And I do know that the Houston Wellness Expo, I don't remember the date right now, but I know that that was also changed, the date on that.
Going to be sometime in September.
That sounds right, yeah.
But as we get more information, we'll share that with everybody. But yeah, thank you for that.
And I'll keep that updated on my website as well, because I plan on going to that one.
Sandy has her email in the chat. She wants to be added to your list. So I don't know if you're still on, Sandy. It might be better for you to go to Robyn's website.
Yeah, and when you do sign up for the newsletter, it does want to, it'll send an email to you saying, are you sure you want to? So check your spam if you don't get a confirmation, because you do have to confirm it before I can send you the newsletter. So.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions or anything else that you'd like to share with us, Robyn?
I can't think of anything except for just thank you. Thank you for being so willing to jump in and experience this, and just having that open-mindedness and desire to learn how to work with yourself and use your tools. It's
an amazing group. Our Dowsers are really an incredible group of people, and very open and pretty high frequency. So yeah, but we are delighted to introduce you to them, and thank you for sharing all your wonderful tools and gifts. So yay. Next month, we are going to be talking about microcurrents and new technology available. So stay tuned for that. So, all right. Well, I guess I will close our meeting, and
Thank you, Mary. Great meeting. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Recording, and it'll be available. Robyn is going to send us you were going to send us a PDF of something.
yes.
And then we'll send that and the recording out to our Dowsers. So, sound good?
Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you, Robyn.
Thank you so much, Robyn.
Good to see you.
Thank you,
Laura.
Robyn.
Good to
Robyn.
see you, Catherine.
Thanks, Robyn.
Thank you.
Leslie.